Today we have a crazy story of an entitled parent and their kid's taekwondo class. We'll get into that in a bit, but first, navigating the sibling fallout of no contact with father. Hoping for some advice on how to handle a pretty delicate situation in my family. It's about me, 34-year-old male, my sister, 36-year-old female, and my father, 65-year-old male. My parents divorced when I was a kid, so my mother is not directly involved in any of this. At the end of this post, there's a very concrete situation that I need advice on how to handle. So if you don't want to read too much, you could skip to the final part, the situation, but the first parts provide a bit of background. My father and I haven't had any contact for 6 years whatsoever. To put it briefly, we've always had a very tumultuous and downright antagonistic relationship, and after many years of pain, sorrow, and disappointment, I finally gave up on having a relationship with him at all. One night, in a fit of fury, I told him how I felt about him, and in no uncertain terms. I told him that I regard him as a child abuser and a vile, moronic narcissist, and that he means less than nothing to me. I meant every word, still do, and shortly thereafter, I sent him a massive text message that made it very clear how he has harmed me and how it's affected my life. I then immediately blocked his number as my mind was made up and I just wanted him gone. For good, and I couldn't care less about his response or any future communication. So there is no reconciliation possible, and I'm as fine as anyone could be with that. That's not my goal, and I have no remorse or guilt about how it ended, and I've never for a second doubted that it was the right choice for me. Collateral damage. When I broke off contact, the hardest part was that I realized this would make it incredibly difficult to sustain my relationships with members of my extended family on my father's side. Although it pained me greatly, I made that sacrifice willingly, thinking that that would be the end of it. At that point, it was about self-preservation, and I was absolutely ruthless in guaranteeing myself freedom from his influence. Whatever it took, I was willing to do it. But, of course, it wasn't going to end just like that, as these things so rarely do. In my case, primarily because of my sister. My sister has historically been chiefly on my side in all of this because she witnessed the abuse I suffered directly and was unable to prevent it despite numerous attempts at diplomacy. She carries a lot of guilt because of this, but at the same time, her and my father were always quite close. My father's abusive tendencies also targeted my sister, but in a very different manner, and she's much more of a people-pleaser kind of person than I ever was. Where I was routinely shamed, blamed, and ridiculed, my father made her into a mother figure and confidant, meaning she's his personal therapist ever since her teens. She resents him for this, but her feelings are far more murky and ambivalent than mine, and despite her complaining about him and his behavior constantly, even to this day, she hasn't broken off contact with him because she wants her children to have a relationship with their grandfather. To me, that's her choice, and I've never criticized her for that, regardless of how I feel his influence might come to harm my nieces and nephew. My father and I have successfully avoided each other for 6 years, and I think we're both quite terrified of the day that we meet, but as long as we navigate around each other, that's not a problem. The situation: recently my sister gave birth to her third child, and the christening is set for August. Where I'm from, it's a big occasion where all family members, inner and extended, are invited, along with friends and their significant others and children. And of course, my sister doesn't know what to do about me and our father because we haven't seen or talked to each other for 6 years. She knows exactly how I feel about him and that I don't want to be anywhere near him or ever see him or hear him talk again. In that, I have found peace, but my father is unwilling to accept that he will not be invited to the christening because I don't want him there, and deeply upset about my sister originally not inviting him. So he's been emotionally pressuring and blackmailing my sister into inviting him. My sister has said to him that I'm the one who gets to be there if me and my father cannot agree that it is all right for the both of us to be there. Somehow. She's told him that she thinks that he's supposed to be the mature one and that it's his responsibility to reach out and make amends with me if he wants to be there for his granddaughter's christening. So he said to her that he would reach out to me. My sister then texted me to tell me that my father might contact me because they'd had that conversation. At first, I didn't think he would contact me at all because he generally doesn't follow through on any promise he makes. And he's a massive coward when it comes to dealing with me, or any conflict for that matter. But to my surprise, I received a text from him today that reads, "I'm reaching out because your sister has expressed that she wants the three of us, him, myself, and his wife, at the christening, and I was hoping that we could agree to being in the same room for this and future events. We don't have to shake hands or even talk, we just need to behave like adults. Kind regards." Never mind that my sister has not expressed that she wants him and wife at the christening, or how aggressive the tone of this message is. It has provoked way more emotions in me than I thought possible. I thought I was over it, but there's a lot of anger and, to a lesser degree, also sorrow and anxiety. Emotionally, I regret unblocking his number for this message deeply since it's left me in quite the state of emotional turmoil. But I also don't know what to do about the situation with the christening at hand. I've narrowed it down to 3 options. I can tell my sister what reading his message did to me, and that I'm clearly not able to cope with being anywhere near him, seeing as I can't even read a message from him without imploding emotionally. That would mean that she would have to choose between us, and I don't want to put her in that position, or risk antagonizing her and ruining our relationship. If I go down this path, I'm honestly afraid she'll consider me incredibly cowardly or suspect me of agitating the conflict on purpose, and then decide that I'm the one who won't get invited to the christening. I could defy every emotion and instinct I have, try to man up and tell my father that we both can go, as long as he keeps his distance and avoids talking to me or about me. I absolutely mean it when I say that I have no way of predicting exactly how I will react if he tries anything, but it could get very, very ugly as it has many times before. I won't know until it happens, but I'm definitely at risk of losing my temper and making a scene. Also, I find the idea of being at the christening with that many people around almost publicly humiliating because they all know what's going on with me and him, and I feel like I'll be spending the entire day avoiding my father and his wife. And then, what even is the point of being there if I have to be hyper-vigilant and anxious? I broke off contact with him exactly because I could no longer ignore my own feelings or downplay myself just in order to keep the peace. And on that promise to myself, I will not, under any circumstance and on my life, go back. So there's a real risk that it might end extremely badly. Or I tell my sister that I'm simply not emotionally ready for this to happen. Every inch of my body is communicating this to me, but I've only thought about it for 1 day, so this might change. And then I suggest that I'll pass this time, and then me and my father can sort of take turns at participating in her events, so we don't have to see each other, and so she doesn't have to feel like she's caught in between or that she has to intervene or mediate between us. Which, as she explains it, is actually the biggest issue for her. I'm not a big fan of this because I will have to cede territory to him, and there's another warrior-like part of me who is telling me, heck no, you will cede nothing to this demon of a man, and if he tries anything, you'll insert varying non-violent vengeance fantasies. But come the day, I do not know if I'm strong enough to assert myself sufficiently to make him uncomfortable enough to avoid any future events. Keep in mind also that I'm dealing with a man who many suspect of being a sociopath. So, yeah, that's probably not a battle any wise person would take willingly. I'm hoping for some advice on how to proceed. I don't have to decide for a while, but my mind is going in circles and I'm caught somewhere in between self-pity and wild fury, unable to make sense of what's happening in my head and heart. I think this is a really messy situation because clearly there's a lot going on for OP that realistically is not going on for, 99.9% of everybody else that's going to be there? There's no part of me that wants to downplay OP's experiences and how they feel about this awful guy, but does that also make it fair to insist that he gets excluded from all of the family events? I think you're definitely going to get some pretty varying answers, but it might honestly just be for the best if OP does sit out, or at least express that OP can't handle this in person. And obviously there's no hard feelings whatever is decided upon, but if the father's attending, OP just can't go. Lisa Knows Best wrote, "If I were you, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't want to have to give my sister the ultimatum where it's him or me. So bow out and let her know that you're choosing to skip this event so she can rest easy and enjoy said event. Your sister does know all that's happened between you and your father, right? I mean, if she does, then that's kind of crappy. It may not have been the same with her, but by continuing to overlook the way he treated you, she's dismissing his horrid behavior and just kind of letting it ride. If she knew you were being abused and couldn't do anything about it at the time, that's understandable if you were children, but as an adult, she should be more supportive of you and everything you suffered at his hands. Families are so freaked up, sorry. I don't know how I would feel if I were you. I think I might be questioning my sister's morals. What do you think your attitude would be if your father treated her kids the way he treated you? Do you think she might change her mind about him? It seems she might need a real good look at how, by supporting him, she's dismissing everything he did to you. Maybe talk to her about that. How it hurts you to know that she can just overlook everything you went through. Sorry if I'm rambling. I hope you can find peace with this. It seems like the best thing for you though would be to stay away from him, far away. That said, our next story is, my daughter likes your pin and button. Can she have them? Okay, I work as a door greeter at you-know-where, so I'm used to compliments like, I like your pins, where did you get them? Some of the pins are from vacations, conventions I attended, and online. I have this one lady, entitled Mother, who has a kid about 7 or 9, entitled Kid, I don't really know. They always talk to me about one pin her child likes, which is actually a button. It has a griffin, a creature with the front half being an eagle and the other of a lion. It's done by a friend of mine who does MLP style art, so it looks kind of cute. Entitled Kid always loves it and talks about it and hints she wants it. I told her my friend's website to commission one of her own, but Entitled Mother kind of shuts it down with this kind of look. Well, yesterday, Entitled Kid and Entitled Mother come in around 7 p.m. and do their normal round of shopping, usual normal banter, but Entitled Mother suddenly just said, my daughter really likes your button and one of your pins. Can you just let her have them? I am shocked because I know which pin the kid wants and the button. The pin is of Mothra from Japan, and it's my favorite. I tell her no, and that she can find the pin on eBay, and the button was a commissioned work made for me. I actually spent money getting this made for me. Entitled Mother just said, I know you didn't waste your money on this stuff. The pin is like $5 and the button you got for free out of some kid grab bag. I am shocked and pull up the pin on my phone and show the price to be about $25 and my friend's Fur Affinity commission page, which proves I paid at least $15 for a custom button of my griffin. I tell her no and that she can buy these online and that I will not just give her these. She decides to tell my manager I stole the pin and button from her daughter. My manager, on the other hand, tells the woman that I have had these on my vest since I started in March. My manager was also on my side because Entitled Mother is a downright Karen to nearly all in the store. She complains about nearly every service we provide, even if the provisions are needed. She still goes off about the pin and button that her daughter deserves them and I'm a grown woman who needs to grow up. My manager tells her to leave me alone and let me do my job. So in short, I am expected to give my own personal property to a customer's child. After saying no, I'm accused of stealing from her and that I somehow must give it up because Mothra pin and my Griffin button are for kids. FYI, I don't know what American kid would like Japanese Godzilla movies currently. I am glad my manager agreed with me and also backed me up. I'm glad it sounds like it was really easy for OP to stand their ground for themselves here. There's definitely a lot of stories you sometimes hear in this kind of vein where somebody is not so resolute or has a hard time standing up to somebody. They're a little bit more of a people pleaser type person, and especially kudos to the manager for standing up for their employee. Realistically, it should have been a slam dunk for that manager, and they absolutely did dunk it. KR Treefrog 2 wrote, my daughter really likes your button and one of your pins. Can you just let her have them? Sure, $50. What do you mean $50? Well, that's how much it costs to replace them. You can have these right now and I'll order new ones. I'm not paying $50 for a kid's toy. So you're okay with costing me $50, but you're not okay spending your own $50. And you really don't see the problem with that? Not the bad one replied to that saying, and all of this great logic would sail right over Karen's head. But good try though. I gained too much experience from dealing with many retail Karens in the past. Our next story is, there are boy mums and then there are also pick-me mums. My foster mom is the latter and I just realized it. Partner told me that he had to run away to his mom while my foster mom was visiting because she was becoming very inappropriate. Could be a cultural thing, whereas most Asians can be very friendly, but not most elders. I was heavily pregnant with his kid and had to move across the continent to give this little baby a good start in life. She insisted on coming with to see how my partner and his parents were living. Don't know why and still can't make sense why. She met my partner many times before, and most times he refused to meet her again. I respected that, but he never told me why. Anyway, we got to his mom's house, and the first thing she did was to comment on how small the house was. We come from middle class in Southeast Asia, and that is nothing compared to here. How everything was so homely and humble. The freak? With mannerisms of a billionaire looking down on people. The pick-me part was I never picked up any of it. She asked if we'd stay in the same room, if he wasn't gonna be near her. She went to hug him right away when she saw him waiting for me at the airport. She wanted to sit in front with him just because she's the mom. Got upset and jealous when he got me food first and not for her. I was pregnant with his kid. Then she went around trash talking about me to him and his mother while praising herself for being the savior. Tried kissing his mother's butt like a teenage girl trying to get the approval of the mother of the boyfriend. Even on her Facebook, the things my partner got for me while we were dating, she posted them as if he had gotten them for her. Chocolates, a teddy bear, etc. I realize now that she's been living through me and would get upset when I refused to share any gifts my partner had gotten me. My mother-in-law was very disgusted. After my foster mom left, she expressed in a very strong, explicit way that she does not want her there again. She said, and I quote, "That woman isn't a mother. She'll never be a mother. She can't be a mother." I never saw it until then. Someone had described these boy moms and I realized that I had one. Except the mom wanted the boys I was with. The mom wanted my partner, despite me being heavily pregnant. Ew. It is time to keep a lot of distance. You can still be my foster mom, just from afar. Let's not concern ourselves with talking about my partner, let's just focus on our relationship, mum. No Proposal 7628 wrote, "Never let that woman near you or your partner again. She's a creep and you don't need that in your life. Your mother-in-law is absolutely right about this. Just in case your foster mom shows up without warning, don't open the door to her. Block her on all social media. Don't contact her in any way." OP responded saying, "Yeah, no, I blocked her on everything recently because I cannot be bothered with the headaches." This happened some time ago, but my partner just recently told me why he does not want her around when I told him my family, aunt, cousin, and foster mom who invited herself, would like to come and visit our kids. She cannot come here without an invitation for a visa. Otherwise, she'd be rejected right away given she's on low income soon. Plus, we went on an 8-year no-contact spree. Did she change? No. Would I ever let her be around my kids unsupervised? Most definitely not. So, nope. This next story is, my entitled mom expects me to spend my money on my step-sibling. Now for context, I, 24-year-old male, am the oldest of 7 siblings. My mom, 42-year-old female, just announced that she's pregnant with her affair, now husband's, baby. Also, I have a well-paying job, no kids, and live with my boyfriend who also has a well-paying job. I'm not rich, but I do have some disposable income. Because of this, I like to spend a lot of it on the 3 oldest of my younger siblings. 18-year-old female, 17-year-old female, and 14-year-old male. Throughout the story, I'll just call them siblings 1, 2, and 3 respectively. I will admit that I pamper them more than my other siblings. My mom has complained about this before, but I gave her my reasons for it, and also it's my money, so I can do what I want. This will all get relevant later. So anyway, my boyfriend and I had been planning a summer trip to Europe and I wanted to bring siblings 1, 2, and 3. I told them about the trip and of course they were super excited. I also wanted to make it very special for my oldest sibling because she recently graduated high school and is now attending a super good uni, so I told her that she can bring a friend. The trip is in 3 days, but we plan to pick up my siblings and her friend today so we can all go to my boyfriend's mother's birthday party, plus celebrate all of my siblings' recent accomplishments. Anyway, I went to my mother's husband's house a couple of hours ago to pick up my siblings, and my stepsister, 15-year-old female, was there. Now, for more context, my mom got remarried like not even a month ago, so I've only ever interacted with this girl like a total of 8 times. Anyway, here's the dialogue to what had happened. Entitled mother being my mom, SS being my stepsister, and sibling 1, 2, and 3 being my siblings. As we were leaving, stepsister said, "When are you guys coming back and why do you have so many bags?" Sibling 1 replied, 2 weeks, we're going on a trip. Stepsister replied, "Really? To where?" Sibling 1 said, "Europe." She asks, "For real? Can I go?" I tell her, I'm sorry, the trip was planned months ago, it's too last minute. Entitled Mother chimes in, why can't you take her? Your flight doesn't leave for another 3 days, you can get another ticket. I tell Entitled Mother it's way too last minute to add on an extra person. She replies, you have 3 days, can't you buy another ticket? I tell her, it took me months to plan this. Adding another plane ticket and hotel room is going to be much more expensive now. Entitled Mother says, if you have money to bring sibling 1's friend, why can't you bring your sister? Then stepsister says, wait, your friend is going? Sibling 1 says yes, and stepsister adds, why can't I go then? I tell her, sorry stepsister, I planned for this trip before my mom even married your dad. Stepsister starts crying for no freaking reason. Entitled Mother says, see, you made her cry. Can't you just bring her? Why can't she go instead of sibling 1's friend? I said, Mom, this is an early birthday gift / congrats on getting into a T20 present for sibling 1. I'm not going to cancel on her friend. She says, so? You need to put family first. At this point, I got really angry at my mom because she just put me on the spot and blamed me for making stepsister cry. I tell Entitled Mother, I barely know stepsister and she's barely even family to me. If anything, sibling 1's friend is more family to me than her. Also, it's my money and I don't have to bring a minor I don't even know on a trip across the world. Entitled Mother then starts crying and pulls out the how can you stress me out like this, I'm pregnant card. I also switched to my native tongue because I felt bad about what I said in front of stepsister and don't want her to hear the other stuff I have to say. I tell Entitled Mother, I honestly don't give 2 craps about you being pregnant when you shouldn't even be pregnant at freaking 42. She replied, you need to treat all your siblings the same and it's unfair to single stepsister out. Sibling 1, 2, and 3 don't deserve more than your other siblings and stepsister. I tell her, stepsister wouldn't have even felt singled out if you hadn't made it such a big deal. Also, siblings 1, 2, and 3 are all fully related to me and they've been in my life for 14 plus years. I just met stepsister a month ago and I'm not even related to her. I of course love my other siblings, but maybe I wouldn't have to spend money on them if you didn't have 100 other freaking kids. Siblings 1, 2, and 3 do deserve a lot more because they've helped me raise our other younger siblings. Something you couldn't do because you were too busy having more kids and arguing with dad. At that point, I just left with my siblings. We kept arguing about the same stuff. The whole drive to sibling 1's friend's house, my mom was calling and texting me non-stop. When we finally got to my boyfriend's mom's house, I called her back, and she started yelling at me saying that she's going to tell the police I kidnapped her kids. I shut her up by saying I have text proof of her agreeing to let sibling 2 and sibling 3 on the trip, and that if she even tries to escalate this further, I will go to the cops with all the neglectful things she's done to her kids. I have proof of most of these too. Clearly, OP has every right to celebrate this in the way they want to with their money, especially after, up till this point, the parents did consent to bringing the younger siblings. How you can tell the relationship with the stepsister is never going to work out? 1 month in, they're trying to shove them down OP's throat and force them to be included in every and anything and being treated like they're the most precious, cared for person in OP's life after only having met them a month ago. OK Airline 9031 wrote, not your baby, not your problem, but definitely document every conversation. Don't pick up the phone, let her go to voicemail, get a digital recorder and record all voicemails in case they accidentally get deleted. Try not to say anything over the phone so you don't say something dumb in the heat of the moment that it could be maybe used in court, just in case she's dumb enough to push it to that point. Check the laws of your state. If you're in a one-party state, it's legal to record any conversation you actively take part in, aka the other people know you are listening to, a participant in, so do that. Before you're about to walk into a room she's in, start recording. Keep a recorder in your pocket, but record. We live in a world where documenting the truth has gotten easier than ever. Do it. This next story is, I pay you so my son can move up too. I am a Taekwondo instructor. I teach the youngest 2 age groups mainly. My younger daughter is in our Little Tiger program for 6 to 9-year-old kids. My older daughter is in the Phoenix group of 9 to 14 years old. The school is not commercial. All instructors teach on a voluntary basis. In fact, instructors also pay the same club fee, which is used for insurance and equipment, as all other members. So I pay for myself and my children to teach them myself. As both courses are directly after each other, I can't bring my little daughter home or pick up the older one in between. The master agreed that both my kids can stay for both courses. The older one helps with the little ones, the younger one does the games with the olders, but then usually plays on her iPad when we do more difficult stuff. The mom of the little boy and the Tigers noticed that my daughter was allowed to stay for the big one's course, and asked if her son, 6, could finally move up too, as he'd already been there for 6 months and is the same age as my daughter. I tried to explain that she wasn't really in the group and was only there so that I could teach, but she didn't accept that. She claims when the old master, who is ill and can't do this class at this moment, did the course, she already noticed that my daughter was his favorite. He knows her from birth, so of course he's closer to her than the others, but he loves all the kids, and that she pays me a lot of money and now demands that her son is treated in the same way as my kid who doesn't even pay. I have no clue how she comes to this conclusion. She then demanded to speak to my manager, that does not even exist. The master leads the club, but there's no actual boss. But she knows there has to be a manager because she pays us money. I try to explain that she only pays for insurance and equipment, but she does not believe any of it. She actually calls the old master in hospital to complain about me. He tells her to cancel and sign him up for a commercial club nearby, 50 euros a month instead of 70 euros a year at our club, where she could talk to managers all day. She complains to the board of the Umbrella Club, not the Taekwondo club, but the sports club that manages many voluntary sports in our city. They are very confused. She still does not give up. At the next lesson, she threatens to get me fired so that a real, male trainer can finally take over again. I tell her that if I don't do the course, no one will do it. Voluntary work is not really popular. At the end of the lessons, she does not show up to pick her son up. I try to call her, but she does ignore me. After 30 minutes, I call the police, telling them what happened. They take him, I tell them his address, and they take him home. I don't know the aftermath. I just hear this entire story, and the only thing in my mind is poor kid, because they're doing this great thing, a Taekwondo class, and their mom is being ridiculous. They're 6 years old, they don't need to be in that higher class. This isn't some further education. They're not like one step away from being a college genius if they jump up to the 9 to 14-year-old kid group. That just means you're putting them in the line of fire, having to spar with kids that are 6 to 8 years older than them. Magic Unicorn Handler wrote, I was in a martial arts class that had 8 adults in one class. It was interesting to say the least. There was a couple times during sparring sessions that I volunteered to work with the 1 8-year-old. No matter what myself, his dad, or the instructor did that could get him to spar me. The plan was to block and lightly counter so he could learn to block as well. I missed that class. When that one moved to a different city, I moved to Taekwondo, and the ages were more diverse. But they also had more students and could have different tiers. My daughter was in Lil Dragons until 7, then got moved to Tigers and she lost interest. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another crazy entitled parent story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.